Thank
Next
you.
question I have, be it a keynote address, a workshop, or speech competition, how do you stay cool, calm, and relaxed before taking the stage? And what are some tips and advice you may have for others to stay cool, calm, and relaxed before taking the stage?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to handling your nervousness, handling your anxiety, there are various things that you can do. For me, the best thing that I do to help calm my nerves is just making sure that I know my opening down cold. I know my opening, and usually when you get on stage, that is the moment when you have the most anxiety. But when you start and you start to get some momentum in your speech, all of a sudden you just start to snowball and everything just builds up into your conclusion. And then before you know it, you're done. So knowing your opening, knowing that first 30 seconds to the first minute of your speech can really be helpful for you. The second thing that I do to really control my anxiety is to get my mind off of the task at hand. Perfect example is the World Championship of Public Speaking. I was the second speaker, and so I didn't have to wait long, but I did have to wait. And I was backstage just waiting for my turn, and the anxiety is building up. So there are several things that I did. One, I decided to just listen to some music because that took my mind off of the fact that I had to get on a stage in front of about 2,000 people, thousands more watching online. I had to get my mind off of the fact that I was speaking in the World Championship of Public Speaking, that this was for the World Championship of Public Speaking. And I was also following a former second place winner. So Kwang Yu Yang was the first speaker, and I was
Yes.
going right behind him. So I had to get my mind off of that. So listening to music really helped me get into a zone that wasn't in the spotlight or wasn't focused on the spotlight that I was about to be in. So that really helped me. And something else that really helped me, and this is something simple that I could pass on to other people. If you are nervous, you will find that your heart starts racing and your body will start shaking uncontrollably. You're going to have a lot of excess energy, and you need to somehow dispel all of that excess energy. Don't just sit there thinking about, oh man, okay, I'm about to get on stage, I'm feeling nervous, my hands are shaking. Don't focus on that. Focus on expelling all of that excess energy. So a simple way that I did that, while listening to my music, I started to direct an invisible choir. I started dancing in my seat, any way where I could just use a little bit of movement to expel the extra energy. And that, again, it not only helped me expel that energy, but it also helped me not focus on the anxiety. So I wasn't focused on how my heart was racing. I wasn't focused on how my body was moving uncontrollably. I was focused on expelling the extra energy and focusing the movements for that regard.
Okay, thank you. I'm just curious, man. As a music person myself, I'm not going to copy your style or anything. I'm just curious. what what did you listen to that morning, that day of the World Championship? What music was going through your headphones?
Oh man, I listen to so many different songs. So I listened to some motivational rap songs. There were some songs that really caught my ear just from the motivational message that they had. I can't remember the artists' names right now. They were just some obscure artists that I had heard on YouTube, and I said, okay, I like that song. So I didn't necessarily go for like the top names in music. So I think the one song that I had that was probably by a famous rapper was Eminem,
Okay,
Lose Yourself. So
okay.
that, I think that's a pretty much a standard motivational song for anybody who was born after 1970. Uh, the other songs that I listened to, there was one song that I used to just really get more focused. So I was born as a Christian.
Hmm.
So I listened to one particular gospel song, and it's called Order My Steps.
Okay.
And it was basically, I was just using that as my form of prayer to just have me be guided on stage and me deliver the speech that I wanted to deliver. So that's the music that I listen to. And I know it seems kind of extreme to go from, oh, you go to rap and Eminem to gospel, but it works for me.
If it works, do it. Apparently, it worked. So well done,
Yeah.
Aaron. The last question I have for you today, sir, is 2020 has been quite a year, to say the least.
Yeah.
All that's happened, all that's happening, all that's being reported. How has this year affected you as a person and as a speaker? And what does this mean moving forward for Aaron Beverly?
Yeah. So honestly, this is a great question. So at this time that we're speaking, I have kind of gone silent on social media because there's just been a lot to think about and to absorb. There's just been so many changes that have come because of 2020. We first start with the COVID-19 situation and the quarantines and the isolation that we've all been facing. We've had to adopt new mediums to talk to one another. And we've had to do this at a record setting pace. This has changed the way that a lot of speakers engage with their audiences. So that was one change that I had to kind of deal with. And I started doing that through social media. One of the best performing videos that I did was helping people who were still competing in the 2020 speech contest, just sharing my mindset of how I would approach a virtual speech contest where I'm not speaking in front of a live audience, but instead I'm speaking on a camera to a virtual audience. So that was something that I had to adjust, and I had to adjust fast in order to get the information out when it was most relevant. And now we have this movement for Black Lives Matter. And this has been just a widespread global movement. I've
Yes.
seen pictures of people in South Korea. I've seen pictures of people, of course, in the United States, in Latin America, who are all just promoting that Black Lives Matter, and they're moving against things like police brutality and inequality in the justice system. And this has really gotten me to start thinking about, what is my role as a public speaker? Why do I really want to speak? What is the message that I truly want to share? But at the same time, not alienate everybody who has been following me before. So I've been really thinking about the direction that I want to take. And I don't think that my current mission or the current movement that is going on is going to drastically change my approach to teaching people public speaking. It's going to really change more so in what I teach and how I teach it. Perfect example is the taboo subjects of public speaking. People always say you don't want to talk about sex, politics, or religion because they're so controversial and they're so divisive. But I'm starting to think now that that has probably been part of the problem. We're told that they're taboo. We're told that you cannot talk about them. But what we should instead be saying is we need to learn how to talk about them so that they're not controversial, so that they're not divisive. And I think that comes from learning how to speak with tact, learning how to speak with empathy, learning how to not bring in divisive figures into the conversation. So, perfect example is that when we are talking about politics, I've learned that it becomes a lot more divisive when you start to mention certain people. So you mentioned, for instance, the current US president and the direct former US president. Those two names will cause some extreme divisiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what you say afterwards. As soon as you mention those names, it's over because people have already said to themselves, oh, you don't support my person, so I'm going to stand on the other side of the room and I'm not going to engage in anything that you say. Even if it's extremely logical, even if it makes sense, I don't want to accept it because you don't support my guy. But if you talk more about policies and what you believe in, you'll actually find that you agree on a lot more than you disagree with. So it's a matter of learning how to talk to people and how to message certain things to a certain audience and not bring in the divisive things that will cause people to not accept your message just because you mentioned a word. So that's something that I've been really thinking about. I've been really thinking about how to be more active as an activist and not necessarily take a political stance. So I don't want to be affiliated with a certain party, but I do want to have people go out and speak their minds. I do want people to go out and challenge their people who are in authority, to hold them accountable for their actions and the policies that they put in place. So this is what I've really been thinking about, and I really think that's going to be the direction that I take. So it'll, in addition to teaching people about things like the speech contest, in addition to teaching people tips and tricks for public speaking, I also want to address this part of public speaking. So that has been why I've just been reflecting and sitting back and intaking all of the news and getting different viewpoints and listening, which is something that a lot of people don't like to do, but it's critical to public speaking. You can't always just talk. It's not always about speaking. It's sometimes you have to sit back and listen so that you can gather more information to complete what it is that you may want to say. So that has been really what I've been doing over the past couple weeks now. And I think that the changes that have come in 2020 are going to lead me into a different direction that I wasn't expecting, but I'm ready to accept the challenge.
Well said. Well, brother, you continue to influence, inspire, and motivate me, among many others. And simply put, thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for making time for this, man. I'm glad we finally were able to get this done. And when those planes are back up flying, we need to sit down together and catch up. That'd be great.
Yes, sir.
2019 World Champion of Public Speaking, Aaron Beverly. Before we go, any last words or things you want to say to the audience?
Uh, the thing that I guess I will just say is right now, people are listening, people are watching, and you really want to be careful with what it is that you say, because people will take your word for it. People will hold you accountable for the things that you say more so than ever right now. So be careful with what you say, but try to speak from a place of empathy. Try to put yourself in another person's shoes. Don't try to condemn a person just because they don't believe something that you don't believe, because they choose to use a certain slogan and you don't agree with that slogan. Try to understand it from their point of view. And most of all, just listen. Listening isn't going to force you to convert to their way of thinking. Listening will just help you understand their position. You may not agree, and that's perfectly fine, but nothing will hurt you if by simply understanding. So speak from a place of empathy and listen.
Well said. 2019 World Champion of Public Speaking, Aaron Beverly. Thank you so much. I'm CJ Marks. This has been a pleasure, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good day.
Thank you.